we are looking at components in isolation. We're not looking at wider pictures. We're looking at an individual entity, we're looking at some reports for that, and we're looking at some thresholds that we've probably come up with, either rules of thumb, or we might have done some calculations if we're feeling particularly energetic about it. Sounds relatively simple to do. We've just got a single thing we're going to focus on. There are, however, challenges that I'm sure we've all experienced. Getting data, capturing the data that's happening on those systems. With a copy of Excel, that can be quite difficult. There needs to be other ways. We end up writing scripts or whatever we're doing to get data. And it's not just capturing the utilization of the box or whatever it is that you're monitoring networks with. It's capturing the workload that's going through it as well. So we're talking about components, but there is an element of we need to know what work is going on in the environment that's affecting that component so that we can try and talk about what's going on. If we don't automate it, we end up running out of time, like on my little capacity manager on that first slide. So there needs to be automation, otherwise there simply isn't time to go and manually collect data from every box and copy and paste it into Excel and do what we want to do. We need to interpret that data, and we need to report on that interpretation back out to whoever's interested in it in the business, or provide it to those people. The relatively simple challenges: get data, make sure it's automated, and do something with it. The other thing that we'll be doing, not just reporting on the past for component capacity management, but forecasting into the future. So we are starting to answer the questions of how much headroom have I got? You know, if the business comes to me and says we're going to do 20% more work, will it fit on these boxes that I think host that workload? The trends are going to help us. We looked at trends before, but those trends are going to tell us what our underlying growth is, and we can put changes in those trends if we want to cope with that forecasting. But modelling comes in as well for component capacity management. It might sound like it's starting to move into the service and business area, and it is. It's about the limit of where component capacity management stops. We start talking about you being into service and business capacity management. But modelling would be where we take a period of time from the environment and then make changes to the workloads or hardware and start to predict what the effects are going to be. Again, it's another reason why you need workload data, even though you're doing component capacity management. Because if you don't know what the workload is, it's hard to model what the effects of changing that workload is going to be. The capacity plan is one of the main outputs from your capacity management process. But when you're only at the component level, it's essentially going to be a list of hardware. There'll be some introductions and a few bits and bobs around it, and conclusions and stuff. But at its base level, it's going to be a list of hardware, what you're worried about, when you're worried about it, and what you're going to do about it. And not a lot else in terms of that when we're just dealing with components. What we miss is any appreciation of what's going to happen to the end user. We might be able to say on this component, transactions are going to take an extra second if we increase the amount of work that we do. Okay, so is that just going to be 1 second that's going to affect the end user, or is it going to be on all the components and that all adds up and a 1 minute transaction suddenly comes out here? That's not what we want.